Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and we try to isolate an element of the race we might look back on later as having been the key to finding the winner. Well, racing at Sha Tin on Sunday, only a small field for the renewal of the Group 3 Queen Mother Memorial Cup, but an intriguing enough race. All 5 runners can actually win the race, so certainly a race to get an opinion on, and I'm sure you'll find plenty of those around the Jockey Club website. But I'm going to have a look at a couple of the lesser grade races, and the first one of them is race 4, and our winning factor here, the draw. Now the leading chances here look to be Magic Supreme, having his first run down the straight course. Problem Child, Dublin Star, who has plenty of ability but does an awful lot wrong. Fabulous 8 for Ricky Yu and Joe Moreira. And the newcomers having their first starts, Flying Spirit and Kinda Cool. And the straight course at Sha Tin is one of those quirky little angles to Hong Kong racing. Once upon a time, a long time ago now, it was very fair, and horses won from all draws in all parts of the track. But over time it has certainly developed into a style of race where being nearer the outside fence is favoured, well, mostly. And we're going to take a look at some statistics and some figures on this. And the one strange outlier of these straight races is Gate 1, which has a high winning strike rate and also a much better performance versus market expectation than the other inside draws. And I basically put that down to the fact that the horse in Gate 1 doesn't have a horse on one side of him, so he gets a little bit of freedom of movement, especially if there was a really hot speed. But generally the higher win rates are in the wider draws, although when you compare the figures from some time ago to more recently, you can see that the market expectation has changed and the actual results are closer to the market expectations now for those outside barriers, and that has whittled away any advantage in terms of betting that you might have had just only focusing on the outside gates. So to our race on Sunday, and one of the key players here is Fabulous 8. He's a horse who is still a maiden, but he has run some terrific races down the straight. He's had 2 recent starts from a break, and we're going to have a look at the most recent of those. This is race 545. He's in orange colours and he's in Gate 4, and as you can see he gets clobbered early in the race, so just after the start, and then finds his way across into the field, and he suffers more interference, gets held up for a run before finally getting himself into 3rd place here behind the Informed Trust Me. Now that stamped him as one of the horses to beat here. Perhaps his main rival will be Zach Purton's mount, Kinda Cool. He's having his first race start, but he has performed well at the trials, and we're going to take a look at his most recent trial. This is on April 14, and the times were not great here. If you're just going by times alone, you wouldn't be that impressed, but you'll see him here in the pink and white colours. Kinda Cool, never really asked to do much here by Purton, still has the better of his rivals very, very comfortably. So I'm not sure that the times, while still relevant, really tell the whole story there. Now let's go to the map, always vital in these races. And one of the interesting things that you see about this map is that most of the horses with speed have drawn the outside half of the draw, with the exception perhaps of Master Galaxy. But I think the fact that we've got all the speed drawn out where they want to go anyway means that there's not going to be a lot of heavy pressure going forward early, and we could even get a slowly run race here because everyone gets to where they want to go quite quickly. And that is going to make the task of anything drawn in the inside half really difficult. So the tip in race 4, Fabulous 8. His winning factor, the draw. Now he's run good races under difficult circumstances in his 2 recent starts from inside barriers. Now he gets Gate 13, and although the market has been picking up on this gradually over the years as a factor in these straight races, It's still the highest strike rates are taking place out wide there, and I think it's a decided edge. The other race I want to examine on Sunday is race 9, and our winning factor here, the stable change. Well, I think our major hopes here look to be Diamond King, also Zach Burton's ride, Party Genius, Sprint Forward for Blake Shin and John Moore, and the Jimmy Ting trained runner, Momentum Happy. And while they all have chances, I'm looking at this as a kind of factor war between Sprint Forward and Momentum Happy. Sprint Forward coming off a 7-day backup from his run last weekend, and Happy Momentum having his first start for Jimmy Ting, a stable transfer. And regulars watching this show would know that I often focus on those factors as important angles for playing Hong Kong racing. So I thought we'd have a quick look at both of those angles with some figures. And when we look at the horses coming back to the races within 7 days of their last start, Sprint Forward's trainer John Moore is one of the best in Hong Kong, ranking only behind John Size, whether we go back 5 years or 10 years, and I'd suggest even if we went back further. John has always excelled at being able to back his horses up. The other graphic I want to look at is the stable transfer figures, and Momentum Happy's trainer Jimmy Ting, he's only on his 2nd season, but you can see here he has already established himself as deadly with a stable change horse. And if you note the strike rates for the stable transfers in general, they're higher than the just into double figures strike rates we saw for backup horses, suggesting perhaps it is the stronger factor. So let's take a look at what these horses have been showing lately. First of all, Sprint Forward's run last week in race 602. You see him here in predominantly blue and yellow colours, and he's just off the pace, ridden here by Blake Shin, who rides him again on Sunday, and certainly has his chance in this race behind Chairman Lowe, but he grinds away, gets himself into 3rd, beaten less than a length, and this was Sprint Forward's first start for 3 months, so we could certainly expect a fitter version of him on Sunday. And while I could show you one of Momentum Happy's earlier runs this season, or a couple of good ones, I thought it might be useful to show you what he's doing with his new trainer, and he's had 2 recent barrier trials. This is the most recent of them on April 18, and this is the one in blinkers, which he wears for the first time on Sunday. And you can see him here, he gets out quickly, goes to the front, and was very solid, shaken up at the finish, but it was a good hit out for him to make sure that he is solidly fit for Sunday's first run for the stable. Now on the map, I expect both horses to be ridden fairly positively. The leaders in the race look to be Carefree Prince and Forza Angel, regular front-running types of horses. And the other 2 that I've mentioned, I think will try to slot across behind them. Obviously, Gate 11, a bit more problematical for Sprint Forward than the better draw for Momentum Happy. So the tip in race 9, Momentum Happy. His winning factor, the stable change. And while these are both very strong angles, stable change and quick backup, I think that we saw from the figures that the stable change is a stronger factor, and that Jimmy Ting leading the way in that particular factor at the moment, and certainly he gets the setup to come out the best of this pair, and I think that's going to put the first win on the board for Momentum Happy. Well, that's it from the winning factor for this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.